What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another podcast episode. So, for this podcast, we're going to be talking about the difference between toning and building muscle. So, this is going to be a controversial one, but let's dive in.
Yeah, so first of all, basically a trick question. And I think what people are so hesitant about when it comes to the term building muscle is it's always females who are hesitant. It's always females who don't want to build muscle. They just want to tone up.
Yeah.
So explain what toning up means.
You're essentially trying to lose weight. Is
Yeah.
what it is. That's what they think they're doing anyway. So they're doing like very high repetitions, high intensity workouts. So things that are going to burn a lot of calories, which in turn is going to relate to potentially weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like the toning.
Yeah.
And then your muscle building is more so people who lift heavier weights, maybe not as many reps.
Mm-hmm.
Take actual rests in between and are just trying to get stronger and build actual muscle.
Yeah. So the way I always explain it to people is like toning, people think that just means they're losing enough weight to show off the muscles they already have under their fat, which sure. However, you also want to resistance train so that you can increase the size of those muscles to make them noticeable. If you just lose 100 pounds and you don't have much muscle definition under that 100 pounds, you're not going to be happy with the toning that you did. And so one of the places I get stuck a lot, and I've been meaning to ask you this for a while, can you lose weight and build muscle at the same time?
Yeah.
How hard is it?
You have to find the balance.
Yeah.
You can't, like, if you're cutting aggressively, like, it's going to, because cutting calories is very catabolic. So catabolic meaning essentially instead of building muscle, you're breaking muscle down. So
Okay.
you're using up so much energy that your body can't fuel that muscle growth. So your body is not repairing the same way. You're breaking it down and you're going to just get smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So like being in a deficit is very catabolic, whereas being in a surplus
Mm-hmm.
could be anabolic.
Right.
Not necessarily, because if you're just in a surplus and you're just sitting around,
Yeah,
then you're just
sure.
gonna get fat and you're gonna feel like
for
garbage.
Sure.
But like there's a fine line, like a big, like a very trendy thing right now is main gaining.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially you're eating at like a maintenance of calories. So you're not necessarily in a surplus constantly, and you're not constantly in a deficit. So you're not constantly in like that negative calorie.
Are you like state. One day in a deficit, the next day in a surplus?
You could be.
Or are you like trying to like stay in that maintenance?
It doesn't matter. Like overall, like you're looking at it as a daily thing.
Right.
Whereas like I look at it as like a weekly thing.
Right.
So like for me, if I eat an extra 500 calories one day, but at 500 calories the next day, it equates to the same thing at the end of the week. Right. So like at the end of like, yes, on that specific day, you might be a little bit lighter or a little bit heavier, but like at the end of the road, it doesn't
that
matter.
One day didn't make a difference.
Because you balanced it out. So like essentially main gaining is when you are eating enough calories to just fuel your activity for that day or that week, right? So you're not intentionally consuming an extra 2, 3, 500 calories depending on how aggressive you're going, and you're not constantly 2, 3, 500 calories in a
Yeah.
negative, right? So you have to like find that balance. Like that is why like a lot of people just do that, because what tends to happen is because you're eating consistently the same amount of calories, but your training is improving,
That's true.
right? So even though you're eating the same amount of calories, you're getting stronger.
Yeah.
You're lifting more. You're building more
Yeah.
muscle, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that's going to make you look that much more
I never thought about it like
jacked
that.
or
Yeah.
toned. But like for toning, like I feel like most people don't understand that like you have to build muscle. And like what you said was like toning is more so just like getting to see that muscle that's underneath.
Yeah.
But they're still resistance training. Like they're still doing resistance training.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the emphasis is not on the muscle. It's on the
Yeah.
intensity,
Yeah.
right? So there's a disconnect. So like they're doing squats, we do squats,
Yeah.
but we focus much more on the intention. So the feeling of
Oh God, yeah.
of the quad pump, like the feeling of my quads lighting up, my glutes lighting up, is
Yeah.
very intentional. Whereas for them, the intention is not to feel that; it's to feel fatigued. It's
And
to
sweaty
feel,
and like
yeah, exactly.
cardio.
It's all intensity based. So if they're breathing heavy, if they're struggling to get through a squat now, that was a success.
Yeah.
And that is
BS.
inefficient. It's just inefficient.
Yeah.
It has its time and place.
For sure.
Like everything has its time and place. Like right now, like I'm focusing, my training is focusing much more towards conditioning. So I do those stupid workouts that fatigue me and push my more so my cardio and that those calories a lot more, but I also incorporate the full body days
Yeah.
of resistance training where I'm focused in that is my time to stimulate my muscle and focus on building.
I swear the amount of like HIIT workouts and like boot camps that I've done in the past, where it's like you are going hard for 40 seconds or 60 seconds,
Yeah.
trying to get as many squats in as you can. I swear that made it harder for me to really focus on the mind muscle connection during those more complex exercises. Because
so like do you find that you mean like now you still have a harder time connecting because of that?
Yeah, like maybe not now, but like when I first started actually doing more compound lifts, it took me a long time to like.
Well, because you were definitely feeling it and pushing blood to the muscle and getting a pump. It's just that you weren't consciously focusing on that.
Yeah,
like
but
your indicator was like, oh, this type of workout is not as effective because I'm not sweaty.
yeah, but like, so a lot of people are like, oh my God, I did squats every day. I did 100 squats every day for a month. And the only thing that got bigger were my legs. And people complain when they do those types of challenges that their butt didn't grow or it didn't shape their butt. But it's because they're not actually doing the movement the way to actually target the glute muscles.
Wow.
So like when you're in like boot camps and stuff, it has nothing to do with your technique. It is just as many reps as you can in 40 or 60 seconds or whatever.
It's a very much so like calorie driven.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it's like we just burned 1,000 calories. This was a good workout.
Yeah. Which is a great segue, actually. I always forget to incorporate this when people ask me this or when I see this being talked about, but resistance training and just trying to build muscle, you might burn less calories in that training session, but the more muscle your body has, the more calories it burns on a day-to-day. What's the difference there? Like, is it noticeable? Like if you burn
No.
So just a
No.
preference
So like there
thing.
was like a long time where I felt the same way where
Yeah.
like so essentially like this information came out where it's like, oh, resistance training, you burn more calories throughout your day
Yeah.
versus just in that, like, whereas if you're doing like a hit
Yeah.
workout
Yeah.
or like a cardio based more
For an
workout,
hour or whatever.
then you'll, yeah. So if you did an hour boot camp
Yeah.
versus an hour of lifting weights,
Yeah.
they would say that while you burnt less calories
During your
during
weight
your
session.
workout, like
Yeah.
the lifting weights, your
Thermogenesis.
yeah, like your thermic effect stays elevated. So now instead of burning, this is completely arbitrary numbers, but like instead of burning 100 calories per hour, now you're burning 120 calories per hour,
Right.
something like that. Whereas like they've like there's now like research and stuff that's like it really equates to pretty well the same thing.
Oh,
But
interesting.
the big thing is like you were doing cardio
Yeah.
versus you were engaging a muscle, right?
Hmm.
So like you're going to see more muscle growth through focusing on muscle growth
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of intensity,
Right.
right? So like you can effectively do both to lose the same amount of weight. It's really not going to have that big of an impact, but like overall, like I would always prioritize building muscle because building muscle is just great for longevity.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you were a 60-year-old, like a healthy 60-year-old with like a good amount of muscle is just, they're going to be healthier than a person who is like it's just skinny. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Hmm.
Because as you age, that muscle is going to break down more and more and more and more, and you're going to lose more functionality. Whereas if you
Yeah.
don't have that muscle to break down, then now you're going to, like, it's just going to hit you that much faster. So the more, like, and not to say like you need to go bodybuilder level physique, because that
Yeah.
again is like an extreme. So
Yeah.
that is in itself not a healthy balance.
Objective. Yeah.
But just to like have that healthy muscle on you is just going to be
Hmm.
that much better for your joints and everything that's stabilizing your structure.
Yeah. I keep getting targeted recently with a personal trainer on Instagram who she actually trains. I think it's like her neighbors or something, and they're like 80 years old. And the way that she trains them in the gym directly correlates to them still completely living on their own, being able to do their own groceries, being able to drive their own vehicles without getting into accidents, being able to like shovel their own steps in the winter. And it's just like that should be everyone's goal.
It's so true. And like instead you have these 60-70-year-old women who are still like, oh, I need to get in shape.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and the first thing they do is go walk on a treadmill.
It's like, let's go do cardio.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, like you need to lift some weights. You need to like try to like maintain that bone density.
Yeah, the bone density is a big one.
The ligament and like all of those supporting fibers, just you need to build that so that you have the strength to carry on for as long as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Because if you just neglect it and you're like, I don't know, and like that's not to say that there aren't people who just constantly are doing cardio that can still move around, but like you like there's still, I don't know, like I'm very biased towards lifting weights.
Oh, for sure.
Like I'm but at the same time, like I understand the importance of cardio.
100%.
Having good cardiovascular health. So like, yes,
to
want to do that, but like you can't just neglect one because you're scared it's going to make you look huge. Because guess what?
It's
You're not. I've literally been doing this for freaking 20 years. And I'm not at the level of
Mm-hmm.
a bodybuilder. Like, I'm not even close.
Yeah.
So don't be scared, because I have,
Been trying and still.
yeah, and I have testosterone
Yeah.
coursing through me at a much higher rate than you.
I know. And that's the thing. Like, when, and I cannot believe that in 2023, people still believe that they're just going to go to the gym for a month and literally look like they've been lifting for 50
I
years.
wish.
Like, if it were that easy,
Oh man,
I'd be
jacked. I'm so jacked.
Right? Like, it's just, it's crazy.
Yeah. No, so like, if you want to tone, you need to focus on building muscle, so that when you lose the weight, eventually when you do a cutting phase or you try to lean down to make that muscle visible, you have muscle to show.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, looking at my journey, there have been times where I was 230 pounds, and then I completely shifted and then dropped to 170.
Yeah.
And I was still so unhappy with the way my physique looked, because I was much so focused on, one, I was in a calorie deficit for way too long.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing way too much cardio and not nearly enough actual resistance training.
Yeah.
Where like I remember I would do like the 300, which is very much so like almost essentially like a CrossFit walk.
Yeah.
So it's just very high intensity, and like, but like at the same time I wasn't like focused on the muscles.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas like, so it was just, I wasn't really building anything, and I was in a caloric deficit.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, I'm so catabolic that there's no possible way that I'm gonna be like, and I mean, like, looking back at pictures, like, yeah, I looked good, but like, I wanted to be much bigger.
Yeah.
And that was impossible doing the stupid things I was doing.
And it's just like, right now, the trend is like having like a nice butt.
Mm-hmm.
And these girls do all the booty enhancing exercises, but they're eating 1,200 calories a day.
Yeah.
Like, your muscles cannot grow if they're not being fueled properly.
Yeah.
No matter what muscle you're trying to like grow, it's not gonna happen.
Honestly, like, if you did just like a month of just like maintaining while doing that exercise, like that program,
eating what you normally
you would
eat,
probably see so much larger gains in where you want to see it.
Yeah.
Or even like a slight, like 100, 200 calorie surplus.
Mm-hmm.
You would see such a bigger gain. And then when you slowly dial it back and get a little bit leaner, a little bit leaner, a little bit leaner, you're going to maintain some of that.
Yeah.
You will lose a little bit of that. It just comes with it. Like, that's why big dirty bulks and big just aggressive cuts are no longer like trendy.
Yeah.
Like, people have caught on, like, you can do a mini cut, you can do a mini bulk and get the same results and not have to put your body through that.
Yeah. Starving yourself is not cool anymore.
Nope.
Killing yourself in the gym is not cool anymore.
Nope.
Maybe it's just our age, and we're now like,
I mean, like, I definitely need to prioritize recovery way more than I used to.
Yeah.
Like, I would never be able to train like how I was when I was 20.
Yeah,
like, there's no way. Like, I literally, like, the first like conditioning workout I did, like, literally felt it in my knees for like 3 days after, because I did a little bit of jumping. Yeah. I was like, dang.
Insert the little old man emoji right here.
But yeah, so to summarize, toning is the same thing as building muscle, because you need to build a certain level of muscle so that when you eventually lean down, you have muscle that's visible and that it actually looks like you
workout
are fit.
Yeah.
So they're one and the same. They go hand in hand, and it's just a trendy word.
Yeah. It was way bigger in the past.
Yeah, it was just a huge selling feature. Literally every program targeted,
every magazine
was like, oh, tone your abs, tone this, and like it was just a trendy thing. So that is what it is, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to watch this and be like, oh.
Yeah, so get in the gym and just lift some weights, because it'll do wonders for you. But we're going to wrap it up here. So hopefully you liked this video. If you did, give it a like. Comment down below if there's any other podcast topics that you want us to discuss. We will do our best to try to get those in here. And until next time, peace.